All right, so this is our biofield clearing monthly or bi-monthly meeting, and it's June 18th, 2024. Oh, and here comes Gabriella from the UK. So good. So first, we'll start off with some introductions. When you're all set, Gabriella, you can unmute if you'd like. All right, who would like to start by just saying who you are, where you live, and if you want to, you can add what it is you do, whether it's biofield clearing or anything else. So, how about Cindy? Do you want to start since you were first one here?
Okay, I'm Cindy Blair. I live in Travelers Rest, South Carolina, and near Greenville, which is booming.
Yeah,
And yep, I've been enjoying the biofield work for 2 or 3 years, I think. And I like to use, I've been trying to incorporate more of like some of my essences with it, the flower essences and the Alaskan essences made from environments and homeopathy. Try to tie that in. So yeah,
nice. Yeah, that's a nice addition.
softens
Cool.
everything.
It's amazing, how subtle yet profound flower essences can be. I forget to use them now, but I made tons of them over the years, and it would just amaze me. Like you would take a few drops, and within minutes, it'd be like, oh, everything's feels better, Yeah. So that's great. Good. Stephanie, would you like to introduce yourself?
Sure. My name is Stephanie Wolf, it says there. I live up in Floyd County, Virginia. And I have been using the biofield with myself again. I'm not practicing that with others, but I like to stay tapped in. I think the work is amazing and still love the idea of how I may fold it in with other things, but I'm not focusing on sharing it with others at the moment. But sometimes just with my friends, I probably should pull it back out, and I think it would be helpful for a few folks.
Mm-hmm.
I host small gatherings, and I'm kind of navigating how and where and what I'm doing in the changed world, and as it continues to change, and certainly believe in the importance of our own biofield and how everything is resonating from that place. So having biofield clearing for personal use at the very least is awesome, and I'm thankful for it.
Yeah, that's a gift in itself for us. Good, good. Thank you. How about Claudia? Would you like to introduce yourself?
Yes, of course. My name is Claudia Pureco, and I don't know when is it that I took it was the first class that you had on biofuel clearing. So was that like 5 years ago, 6 years
God,
ago?
at least 4 years ago, maybe five.
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
but I have been following Jane Smolnik work forever, like maybe 10, 15 years since the light retreat was here in
Oh, yeah.
Charlotte. And that's how I got in contact with Jane, and we started collaborating. So I have had a internet radio platform for 13 years now. And
Wow.
so it's yeah, so in that podcast I get to be the first hand listening to people like Jane, and it's one of my favorites, that share information in the holistic, metaphysical, um, you name it, everything that is
Hmm.
new, out of this world that never thought before. And I thought it was going to be something that would last, I don't know, 2, 3 years when I started that. It keeps going and going, and again, this is something that I have very dear in my heart. And of course, you get in touch with these people or with this arena, and then you start noticing that you have your little tricks here and there and gifts that you never thought of. So I became a healer myself. So when Jane had the biofield clearing, it was just the best tool to use because it gives you a lot of the feedback that when you are using energy healing, sometimes you don't have that certainty that what is going on, where am I working, what is it that I am actually taking out of these people that look, yeah, it looks like a rock, it looks here, it's located in this place, but when you are able to give it a name and a last name, it's easier to understand why it's there and how to release it. So it's amazing, and I love all the new that Jane brings. Like now that that's why I'm here. I'm like, oh, that sounds so interesting that you want to add more to the charts and to biofield, because I think that's a never-ending evolving system that you created, where we're going to be just amazed of how much more it can help you. And I do use it in my private practice. I'm not very out there, promoting myself or doing a lot of healings, but I always believe of the power of one. So whenever I talk about myself and what I do, I just put it out there. And that person that is for you, that you're going to be able to help in their lives, they come. And it's amazing how they reach. And sometimes you get people that you never thought would ask for your help. And those times is when the most amazing magic happens. So I'm just eager to hear what's more.
Oh, good, good. And you have some amazing speakers on your podcast all the time. So you must be getting just filled with all this wonderful information all the time.
Yeah,
So,
that's my major gift, is that I'm the one there. Like I just see it like that. If I don't know if it's for me, but I feel that I'm the privileged audience to be in any of the podcast with speakers that I never know when they are coming, because again, they just pop and like, okay, you want to, like at the beginning, I was like, really, you want to be part of of Seaview? And people would say, yeah, and I go, okay. And then it started growing and growing, and then you get people from all over the world, just like
yeah,
your clients. Like I get people from Mauritius that listen to the show. I surely do not send anything to Mauritius, which is in a little island outside of India. And I have
wow,
one follower there for years. I don't know how she got it. So it's like,
yeah,
wow. So it gets where it needs to be. And even if
yeah,
it's one, is worthy.
yeah. I mean, I think that we will magnetize people to us naturally that will seek us all out for assistance. So that's really great. Now we have a couple of ladies from the UK. Hi, Nina. Nice to see you.
Okay. Hi.
Hi. So I'm going to ask Gabriella first. She popped on board, and I know it's late for you guys, so thank you for taking the time to join us. Gabriella, would you like to share who you are, where you're from, and what it is you're doing?
Thank you. Oh, that's a big question. Who I am? Oh my God, that's
Uh-oh.
so deep question. Who are you? Oh God. Yes. I'm living at the moment in the UK. So this year that will be 24 years. So I'm in the UK. It's a time flying for me. But I'm so happy I'm here. But I didn't want to come here. I would like to announce everyone. So that wasn't my choice as a human. That was a choice from my soul, because soul just only pushed me, even I didn't want to come to the UK anyway. So that was the mission, and I'm on the mission at the moment. So I'm feeling like from the different star, different galactic. And the biofield clearing energy, how I found it, I was looking the structure for the stuff, what I was doing. I was asking my spirit guide. All the time I'm saying the same story, but I've been asking my spirit guides, and the spirit guides gave me the beautiful Jane. I was like, one day she popped up on the screen on my computer. And that's how I just only sign up for that course. And I said, actually, I would like to go straight away to the level 2. But Jane told me, no, you need to go for the beginning. You need to learn the lesson. I would like to say, okay. And that was a good, because I've just only learned
Yeah.
so many stuff. And even I knew it sometimes, the stuff, but yeah, there's always a lesson for it. So I'm so glad I finished that level 2, the Master Biofield Clearing Energy, and I'm supporting the people at the moment. So yesterday I had a session, there's a group session, and the lady told me she was attending maybe 3 times, because I'm doing this Biofield group clearing session once a month. So it's a monthly, but we are gathering for the 2 hours, we are chatting, anyway, and we're doing the Biofield clearing session as well. And she told me, thank you, that's a big thank you, because I didn't know that she had a really, really painful shoulder, elbow, this whole arm was so painful for her before she came and turned up for my classes. And after 2 months, although yesterday was second time when she came, and at the end of the session, she just only unraveled that. She said, thank you, because I didn't do anything, but after your clearing session, just everything just only went away straight away, because we cleared out a lot of rejection, the resentment, and holding tight or something. Anyway, so
Wow.
that's so powerful. It's amazing. And some of the people didn't want to come back. I know why, because we unravel a lot of different stuff, and they're not ready to participate another time. But the time will come anyway.
Good. Yeah, you're really going great. And I just loved that. It was probably about a month ago. You did an interview with Dr. Brian Artist. Good for you.
Yeah.
That was very cool.
Because he's lovely. I'm going to do that again, maybe in the next couple of the months, because he promised me he would like to come back, because he didn't finish everything, because it was so rushed. He would like to say everything in 1 hour. And
Very cool.
I met him personally in the UK, because Dr. Ardis, Sarah, Dr. Oh my goodness, another lady with him. She's an EE assistant. I know the Jason Shurka was here, and also,
Oh, wow.
that's a blonde lady. She just only found this EE system, the Scholar system.
Dr. Sandra Rose Michael.
Yes, that's true.
Yeah.
And
Oh my
I'm still
gosh.
waiting.
Very
Yeah,
cool.
I'm still waiting for answer from her for the podcast, but also I'm still waiting for the Jason Shurka. He told me he's
Yeah.
busy at the moment, but he's keeping the eye
Yeah.
for me on it. So yes, so I met them personally here. That was my
Oh,
dream anyway. That was
that's cool.
believing and you receiving.
I'm hoping to open an EE center, quantum healing center in Waynesville. Once I have some money come in, it's like that's what I want to do, to let people come and do it for very, reasonable price for healing. So that'd be very cool.
Jane,
But
is
did you
Waynesville friendly for people like me, like Latinos, or is not?
Oh, sure. Absolutely.
Because I
This
love that area. I love
I love that area too.
the elk and everything. When we went there, it was such a beautiful
Yeah.
place.
Yeah, we're hoping to move over to Waynesville. It's only like 25 minutes from here, but I resonate with that town and that community. We go there all the time, more so than where I am. I feel very isolated here. Yeah. So good. Thank you. And Nina, would you like to introduce yourself? I haven't seen you in a bit. Nice to see you.
Hi, nice to see you and everyone. And yeah, I'm Nina. I'm from the UK and did my training with Stephanie. Was it about 3 years ago, I think?
So,
Yeah. And so I'm holistic therapist. I'm mostly doing hands-on. So reflexology or massage, but it's not exclusively. I do use the Biofield clearing and or the Biofield tuning, which is sound therapy, interchangeably. And lately, I think what's been happening, I've got some clients that come to me with very physical issues. I don't know, for example, overactive bladder or something like this. And yeah, it's been interesting working. I'm at that stage where it's like, what's the best tool, that's going to help them the most. So I'm using the pendulum and stuff to kind of get a feel for where to go with that.
Mm-hmm.
And the other thing, so what I'm really being guided to do at the moment, that's more for myself, but with small groups, is connect. I think you were talking about it, Jane, about being drawn to this other town, Waynesville. But I think getting energy from where we live is important. And over here, we've got the Dragon lines, the Michael Mary. It's called the Michael Mary lines that run through the UK, but they're global lines. It's called the Rainbow Serpent, and they crisscross the Earth and they link up to the Earth chakras, of which we're supposed to have the heart chakra here in England, Avebury, Glastonbury. But anyway, I've been very drawn to working and connecting with those of late. And I found, some friends have also decided to uproot themselves, move to new towns, and have found, the ones that they're drawn to actually happen to be on these lines. So yeah, it's interesting.
Yeah. Yeah. When I first moved to North Carolina, I was charting ley lines and everything. And the house that I first got had ley lines that crossed right where my bed was.
Wow.
In the first few months, it's like I couldn't sleep until I doused it all. And then I had to do some kind of energy clearing in a sense and put a bunch of feng shui things and crystals around. And it was like, because my cats used to sleep on the foot of the bed and they wouldn't even come in the bedroom. And once I cleared the energy where they crossed, we could sleep and then the cats would come in and sleep. It was amazing.
Was it ley lines, or kind of, because you've got it sounds a bit more like geopathic stress, kind of, from which you can get from the Hartman grids, Curry grids, where they cross over?
Yeah. No, I believe these were ley lines. Because there's a book out actually called The Spiritual Reawakening of the Great Smoky Mountains, written by Paige Bryant, who discovered the vortexes in Sedona until she came over to this area. And she lived in Waynesville. She died a few years ago, but she was like, oh my God, there's like 28 mountains here that are spiritually active and alive, electromagnetic and the ley lines. So I was reading her book and I was charting everything. And it was amazing, the power that held. Yeah, it was interesting.
I have to write down the name of the book. It sounds interesting.
Yeah. I mean, it was published in the early 90s, so it's definitely, you can find it at a used bookstore as well. So glad you joined us. And Nance, I know you're up in Canada. Would you like to say hello? Introduce yourself?
Hi everyone. Yeah, up in Canada, in Ontario, Canada. Yep. We're in the works of a storm here, so my internet keeps going out. So if you lose me, you'll know why.
Yeah.
Yeah. So just lately, just taking care of my parents, so can be quite the chore at the times. Yep. So basically doing that. Yep.
Good. Well, I like that you like to join us and
yes.
keep being inspired.
Yes.
Yes. Very good. Good. So now, based on what I put out there a little bit I'll tell you, I've been reading this book and following the work of Dr. Robert Ibrahim Jaffe, God's Way, Sufi Spiritual Healing. I mean, there's so many people I'm hearing about that's doing like such similar stuff to biofield clearing that it just kind of blows me away. And I love the Sufi healing piece because, he says they basically 5 times a day, they kind of bow to the infinite one, just to keep reminding them. And really finding out what's underneath stuff for healing, like what Gabriella was saying too. Sometimes, even with biofield clearing, you'll find something that is actually at the root, at the core, and then pain goes away or healing can automatically happen. And sometimes it takes longer to unravel to get to the core for some people. It depends on where they're at and what they're willing and ready to receive, you know, but really just adding that whole deeper spiritual piece, you know, which is kind of what we do as well, is very, very important, I think, you know, because it makes a difference. So, I mean, he has some amazing stories in these books. So it just really inspires me. So I want to see if you guys, first of all, and I'm gonna read to you. I did a Q&A session with my guides and asked them specific questions, and I'll share that with you. But if anybody has anything particular they think would be helpful, or, you know, once I read this, then we can actually talk about it. But is there anything in particular that pops into your mind that you think would be really beneficial for people during a session? It's hard to know, huh? Well, if you want, let me tell you what they said to me, and then this will point us in the direction of what we need to go to, because I think we're pretty much on the right path anyway. So I asked my team, what can we add to the biofuel clearing process to make it more effective for clients? And they said, dearest Jane, we honor you and work with all of you who are embarking on this healing process to assist humanity to cleanse and clear traumas of the past. This is a process of unlimited realms, going deep into the psyche and the DNA. It is wise to ask the person receiving this if they are ready to receive and accept this healing from all space, time, dimensions, and timelines for healing humanity's wounds, the pain body of our collective field. I will share this with you. I'll put it out because I did type it out. So I'll tell you tomorrow, or I'll share it with you tomorrow. It's essential for people to acknowledge and accept this healing being imparted to them, and with our assistance. Once they claim yes and agree to the release for healing, it will be done. There's no question about that. They have come forth to request this, and we know what they are ready to release. And then I asked, is there anything further we need to do? And they said, no, you are playing an active role in opening the process and insights of old wounds. They can be considered a relic of the past once the story is identified and complete. Some people need more time to go deeper to the core, to trust the process. We will gently assist them in the process of awakening and realigning. We all work together as a team for anyone offering this assistance. We are here to gently guide and comfort those to receive the process. Miraculous healings are not only possible, but necessary. Shine this divine healing energy into their field, into their heart and soul. Infuse it, align it with their highest self, which is the soul body. It's been waiting for this time and this healing. Those who are ready to receive will, within their capabilities, to shift. We work as a team. Working with their original stem cell that created them, we ask it to receive the healing and realignment within, as it will instantaneously heal all cellular memories and heal the DNA to its original state for the best of our ability to allow the process to heal them. Now, years ago, when I did hands-on energy healing work, I would call on the stem cell, the original cell. We'll get into that in a few minutes as far as how we can incorporate that. Their readiness has to be willing to experience a deeper knowing of their true potential. They already have that ability inside. We just assist the process to help them understand what is needed by them. And then I asked, is there anything else they need to do? And they said, that's a good question. Each person may have a different need. Their belief system may need to be restructured to clear out limitations that may block them. Ask, are you ready to receive this? Is there anything else keeping it from being complete? Once the beliefs that are keeping them in the limited field are identified, they need to decide if it is serving them or not. Are they willing to let it go, to see, know, feel, and experience a newer version of their potential? Most will sincerely say yes. If something is still in the way, ask. I see a couple of typos. And we will guide you. Ask and we will guide you and them to anything that still needs to be cleared to eliminate any blocks or filters they have. Do they believe this will help them? That is the key. We already know and are happy to assist this process. If it is done with the light, in the light for the divine good of all. But do not allow your own doubts or concerns to block or limit them. The healer needs to be a clear vessel at the time of this healing. to allow its full potential to be experienced. Any doubts on the part of the healer should be addressed before the work is to be done. We pay special attention to those who reach out to request assistance. We are all ancestors and family, universal family of light. We honor and bless you in this process. This is an essential inner healing process to be shared with humanity at this time of great renewal and healing for the troubling experiences all have endured over an extended period of time. We are family, and we love, honor, and support those awakening to their true potential. Life on your beloved planet is about to change for the betterment of all. Raise your vibration, open your hearts to receive this blessing. Life can and will change in due course. There is no mistaking this upward movement into higher realms and greater awareness. Your innate abilities are infinite. Everyone's on their own journey and timeline, and it's all perfect. You are all arriving into the new blessed Gaia in this entire galaxy. The universe is watching, assisting, and supporting the deep healing for all who request it. We are truly honored to be of assistance. We love, bless, and support you all as you move into a lighter, higher state of functioning and being, as you contribute with the gifts of your heart, the beautiful vibrations of love, peace, and joy, and healing. Blessings to all. Namaste. So I thought that was kind of helpful because, there's a few things there that we don't necessarily do or talk about with biofield clearing. So going back to, does anybody here in their healing work with the stem cell in energy healing? Okay. Yeah, I used to call upon the original stem cell that created you, which is normally located kind of in the pineal gland. And that original cell, I would request it to either accept the healing, or as you do some healing with that original cell, it communicates to all the other cells, the DNA in the body, basically, to instantaneously attain that exact same vibration. So that can be a really powerful part of the process that we may include a little bit. But also one of the things they're saying is people's beliefs, as well as our beliefs or our filters, can't get in the way. So in a way, I have to trust the process that when people come to us, they're asking, they're ready, and they're wanting it. Every now and then I get someone who wants me to do biofield clearing for somebody that they love and care about, and they kind of coerce them into doing it, talk them into it. And sometimes they're not always ready to receive it if it wasn't their idea to begin with, So there can be more filters in the way. And I know in my own practice over the years, I would have to work around people's beliefs, even with natural healing methods and stuff, because sometimes I would hear people say, oh, I've tried everything, nothing works for me, or I can't do that, or this doesn't work, things like that, whatever comes up for people. And sometimes I find this is a lot easier because it's more spiritually based, and the people that understand this work are seeking it out, as opposed to just someone who's coming for physical assistance in a natural, holistic way, because sometimes people will say, like, just give me one thing and make it work and make it natural. It's like, it doesn't always work that way, right? There's a lot of things to take into consideration. And yes, it is important to support the physical body. That's where most people start first. Their concerns are their physical body. But they have to have a more expanded sense of awareness to know that there's so much more than that. Like our higher self is actually our soul body. And there's a lot of wisdom, information, insights. I mean, if you think about the fact that we have always existed, we may have had thousands, if not millions of lifetimes. We may have been in different parts of the galaxy. Like, there's such unlimited potential, So if we can connect with and draw upon a much broader range, or just have an expanded sense of awareness, like really looking at a much bigger picture all the time. We're not just this limited 3D version of ourselves, But for a lot of people, that's all they know. Some people are still in that limited realm that, the way life is here and this and that and everything that's going on this planet that's it. But we all know there's so much more than that. So for each specific person's concerns, whether it's a health concern or relationship concern or whatever their concerns are, it's really helpful to keep asking, because I do, let's unravel this. And I always tell people it's kind of like peeling away layers of an onion, the outer layer first, and we keep going in. And I keep asking the guides too, like, okay, let's go deeper, let's get to the core. But they will take into consideration what somebody needs, the layers that they have to unravel first. You can't just go right to the core if you haven't dealt with some of the emotions or the traumas or the beliefs or the fears, blocked energy and stuff like that first. So it's like, okay, I can understand that, but it's just amazing how sometimes when you get down to the core, like I said, it's almost like it's like pulling on a thread and the whole story unravels, you know. Like I had one lady recently, and it kept coming up as a past life issue for her. And I tested, it was about 700 years ago. And it's amazing how the story just kind of unfolded or unraveled. And it made total sense to her, because very often we are our ancestors. Like you could have been your great 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 grandmother in a previous time, or great 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 grandfather. You know what I mean? Like you could have been any one of those ancestors. That very often happens. So, any thoughts about that pop up for you guys? No? Okay. So, for a long time, I avoided using the word God to my clients, because not every, it has some, people have different ideas and beliefs about it. It's not just, this old man sitting up in the sky kind of thing, because sometimes I would say, the divine spirit, the creator, great spirit, God, goddess, creator of all that is, whatever it is, whatever you call it, does not matter. There's really only one, that universal life force that we're all connected to, right? So that's really what we're connecting to. So in this work and in our practice, it really is helpful to connect with your team, your guides, your higher self, your star family, that we just have so much support around us right now on this planet. This is such a tremendous time of healing and change. I'm excited to see what next year is going to bring, what the next 5 years is going to bring on this planet. The next 10 years are going to be amazing, because we're almost done with this great shift where everything starts to come out and all the dark energies are gone, dissipating. There's still a little more cleanup to do, but it's like, man, this is just going to be a very powerful time. And it's really important for us to integrate ourselves, but to help others integrate and understand the shift on a spiritual consciousness level, right? It's just an important piece of the work. So I have to think about where I want to go next with this. So like I know in Dr. Jaffe's book, as far as Sufi spiritual healing, I mean, he's an MD, and he had these great stories of, working in the hospitals and people who were really sick. Like he had the story about the 17-year-old who was dying, and there was nothing they could do for her, and in the medical field and stuff. So he called on some, I don't know if it was like Sufi healers, rabbis, whatever it was. And you know what they had him do? They had him bring, I think it was 25 doves into the ICU where this young girl was. And their thing was they would put the dove right on the belly button, and the dove would absorb any negative energy. And when it did, it would die.
Oh,
So he said, first, they put one dove on, and within like 2 minutes or something, it just kind of fell over and died. Then they'd put another dove on, and it would take a little bit longer, and they would pull some negative energy out, and that one would go. And then they would put another one on, and it would take a little bit longer, but they would take out even more energy. And they went through this process, and they were almost done. And the administrator of the hospital came in and said, we can't have this. They have to leave right now. He thought it was going to contaminate the ICU and stuff. So they didn't quite complete the process. But during the process, he could see all of a sudden she was like coming back to life. Her life force, her energy field was coming back to like everything was shifting and changing. But they didn't complete it 100%. And, it's just an amazing story. So that inspired him to really look at what's going on a deeper level. Now, for a lot of people, and I know a lot of people get scared of the word like entity, because they don't understand it. But it's really just kind of a life force that can attach to you something that's in the astral plane. And it resonates with the same vibration that this particular person may have, and it can really drain their energy. So it's like sometimes it is about clearing some of those. That's why we get into the advanced work, as far as sometimes we can pull out entities, dark forces, cords that are draining a person, just sucking them dry in a sense. And we've all probably experienced that, especially as women, as mothers, as healers, where somebody kind of latches onto your energy. And usually it's because they don't quite have enough energy to sustain their own life force. And they see your strength and they want to latch onto it. Have any of you guys felt that happening with either friends or family member clients? Yeah.
Can I share something
Sure.
around the entity? Because yesterday, no, yesterday. Yes, yesterday I had that session. And when we unraveled a few entities during that session, that there are a lot of people just only had that attachment. And at the end, I just told them, okay, I would like to explain you if you don't know really what it's all about. Because during the session, I didn't want to explain and go deeply. So I promised all of them, the people in the room, okay, at the end, you can ask me a question. I can explain you what is it, where does that come from? And actually, I didn't give them at the beginning proper definition around the entity, because the one guy was sitting around it in that circle, and he just only tried to explain to me in his own understanding what is the entity. So I allowed him to go for it. And he said that the projection of low vibration energy, that was his definition, when the other people are projecting that energy for other people. So I said to him, okay, if that's your definition, just keep it up for yourself. So I didn't would like to make him wrong or just only say a judgment around it. But the only thing also, I just only gave my definition around the entity. So like you just only said that the energy which one is just only feeding themselves from us. But he's like I would like to say perception was almost quite good for him as well at this stage, at this moment of the healing. So I would like to share this.
Yeah, that's good. And it's a very good point too, because a lot of times people will project things onto you. We might project things onto others, including our clients. Like we might say, oh my God, I can't believe how, whatever, limited they are, unaware or whatever. It's like, but when you do that, you have a filter on them. And that can also challenge the process, because the minute you put a label, a judgment, a projection onto somebody, that limits your ability to help them, and it limits their ability to actually heal. And it's really a very interesting thing to recognize. Like we have to just be there with open hearts, very loving, very compassionate for ourselves, for others, and knowing that every single person is in their perfect place, their evolutionary place on the scale. And it's almost like, and I always thought this even as a kid, it's almost like a circle. Like sometimes we have to go down into the depths of things and then we start to rise up, and that creates that full circle. Like I even saw a chart on this recently. It's in a particular book I'm reading called Our Universal Journey, I think it is. It's in my bedroom by George Kavasilis, which was just fascinating. But it's like he talks about we coming in at a higher dimension, and we have to go through the layers down to the lower dimensions, like third dimension, even second verse, to understand life fully. And then we rise back up again to the higher dimensions. which is kind of an interesting point, you know? But every single person is in their perfect place. There's no need for any judgment, any filters. So you could even have a projection onto somebody that they are absolutely an amazing, divine, infinite spirit. They have unlimited potential. When you have that projection on them, they feel that energy and that they rise up to meet that. I remember doing this, and this was part of my training many years ago with my kids when they were like teenagers, and they'd come to me and tell me all, whatever their challenges or problems were. And if I sat there and went, oh my God, you poor thing, I can't believe this, it's like, or hearing somebody's story of their health issues or the dramas that they're going through and the difficulties. Oh, you poor thing, that does not serve them. But if you can look at them in awe, that, oh my God, they're creating this amazing journey for themselves, for their soul to get what they need perfectly. It's like, wow, that's an amazing experience. What have you learned from it? How is this making you a stronger person, a better person? You see what I mean? There's a whole different shift of energy. The minute you keep a belief around them, and I would do this with my kids and it would shift them. Like they'd be telling me the story or anybody, their drama story. And if I just looked at them like, wow, you're amazing. You're an amazing being. That's an amazing story kind of thing. They will meet your energy at a higher level as opposed to you coming down and going, oh my God, this is such terrible trauma, you know, because it's really all a story, you know. And I had one student who had a lot of trauma as a young girl. And I think she was doing a session with somebody and she felt like the entity came off of them and attached to her. And I was like, you have to do more clearing because she still hadn't completely cleared the traumas that she had, So the low vibrating energy will attach to, connect with someone who resonates with that same low vibration because it feeds them. They think that must be who I am, because they're no longer embodied and they're trying to hold on to something, some kind of life force. So it's so valuable to do some of this healing because, as we know, humanity for thousands of years have gone through so much survival issues, struggles, all kinds of horrendous things, and it's in the collective consciousness. That's why it's great, like you're doing, and I should do more of the group sessions, because I used to like to do those about once a month, and I just stopped doing them for a while, after my son passed away. But now it's been 2 years yesterday. So we had a little ceremony and things were, but was so much easier than just a year ago. That was really difficult. But it's like, okay, getting back into normalcy in a sense. And I feel like my energy is just coming back to really put out there even more for people. But people do need this assistance, to really let go of all the stuff that's weighing them down. I mean, we know that. You guys already know that. So I'm really kind of wondering, and I didn't spend a whole lot of time on this the last couple of weeks because I've been busy, but I feel like there's something there. And I want to create maybe another chart around it as far as maybe is there anything in their way that needs to be cleared? I mean, yes, we do come up with limiting beliefs and emotions and blocked energy and the chakras with the body and all that. But maybe there are specific questions that I think we need to ask them, not just do the clearing for them and go, oh, okay, that's really good. Thank you. But we have to directly ask them, are you ready and willing to let go of this? Because you know what? Sometimes people aren't ready to let go of their story, because they've identified with it for so long, you know, and it serves them in one way. Like a persistent story, a persistent complaint is happening because they're getting something out of it. It's either helping them get more sympathy or helping people, having people, they have excuses, you know, or having people to help them. They don't have to do it all. Sometimes people don't want to take responsibility for themselves. That's an important one. So I thought, okay, there's something brewing here for me that we need to ask, you know. So even just the simple concept of asking them, are you ready to let this go? Are you ready to have a whole different future or life? Are you ready for the energy to shift and change in your life? What would that look like to you? You know, just like when with the advanced charts, we ask, what is your desired outcome? As opposed to what's your worry, what's your concern, what's your problem? It's really nice to ask them what's their desired outcome because, ah, you know, and then is there anything in the way of getting there to their desired outcome? But just having their commitment, or like what they were saying is when they say, yes, I am ready to clear this, you know, they may be ready to work on it, but not entirely ready to clear it completely. You know, have you ever seen people like that? It's like, oh yeah, they're always in process of working on things, but they never quite get there. You know, and I remember when I was doing all my avatar training years ago, and we had to do these processes. And I remember, you know, working with another person that was coaching me and stuff, and I was stuck on something. And I kept saying, wait a minute, I'm getting there. I'm getting there. You know, I'm getting there. I'm getting there in life, right? I'm getting there. And all of a sudden, it was like this big aha came, and it's like, oh my God, I don't have to keep getting there. I can just be there. You know, I can just, you know, doing all so much work over the years, like we all have. It's like, can you just arrive? Can you just be there? Can you just say, I am whole, I am healthy, you know, I am wise, I am loving, I'm infinite? You know, like that's an important piece for people to accept who they are. Do you think? Yeah. And then I was going towards something else with this. All right. Give me some thoughts or insights.
I have some thoughts, Jane.
Yeah.
I had a client yesterday that really pushed my boundaries.
Mm.
This is a 24-year-old woman that found me somewhere for a healing, and she wanted to have the biofield clearing. So at the beginning of the healing, first she's late, really late. She's not answering her phone. And then I finally find her, and she is speaking very low, very not wanting to be there. So one of my questions was to her is, okay, so what are you looking for the healing? And she said, well, I'm really, I would like to feel better, but I really don't have much hope anymore. So I said to her, are you depressed? And she said, well, probably, or maybe, or like even her speech was not clear. And then I said, okay, so let's start with the healing, because she had pointed to areas for, and I start with the openings, but all of a sudden, the thought came, ask her what she believes in. So I asked her, what is it that you believe in? And she said, I'm agnostic. Immediately I'm like, gee, so what is it? How do I do an opening? Because I usually do it out loud. And of course I can do it on my own. So I said, and how do I do the Metatron thing? Because she doesn't believe in angels or energy or life, or God, all of those concepts. She's like, I don't believe in any of those. I'm not even sure about any of those. And I said, okay, if I send you this energy, can you feel it? No, of course not. I don't believe in energy. And I'm like, oh my God, so I didn't know how to work with her. So I did doubt myself as a healer a lot. So what I started just doing is I work with whatever good. I just said to my guys, so whatever I can do from here, just make it happen, because I really don't have the words to communicate with her, because everything that we say during the healing, she didn't believe on those words. And it's almost like we were talking two languages totally separate from each other. So that was that what had happened right there. And I didn't know how to do it, how to work with someone that was asking for help, but there was no way to communicate with her.
Yeah. That's a great example. It's more of an extreme example in a sense.
It was. I was like, I
know.
went to my website and I said, I don't want to get more people from that I don't know, because I have to be able to have a conversation or something to see if we are a fit.
Right.
But on the other hand, we should be able to help regardless of our
Right.
language, our beliefs, and all of that. So I didn't know how to work with that because never happened.
So that's, that can be kind of not really typical, but that can definitely come up where people have all these beliefs and filters and limitations that you have to work through. It's like, how do I get in to help this person, in words that they can accept and understand? So sometimes we have to ask them what it is they want, what they do believe, what do they think would help them? But more importantly, too, is really connect with their guides and even connect with their heart center. Because for one thing, what came up immediately is she's not at all grounded or connected. She's not connected to being here on the planet. She's not connected to her divine source in a sense, higher self. So that's why I kind of use whatever words instead of just God, even though sometimes this guy clearly says, God is what's helping, but so many people will say you can't, people have different filters on what that means,
Yeah.
So
I
really
have a
kind of,
counter thought, Claudia.
sure.
Well, to me, it's like the best thing is like you did face her belief that she's agnostic or whatever it is that she is. So I figure sometimes what I do with people is I just let them be what they are. We're all
Yeah.
about acceptance, right? So a lot of times what I like to use this expression is like, even though you don't blah, 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 and then I go on with my work. And I just keep saying that. Even though
Yeah.
even though you don't believe, or even though you don't blah, 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 and then whatever, let's say maybe she's working on allergies or whatever physical, or I don't know what her issue was, but it's like it disables it gets you in other words, because you're accepting it and you're acknowledging that she doesn't believe.
Yeah.
And so it takes away it disarms her, and it allows her to softens the individual. Those simple little words, even though you don't da 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 da, you go on with whatever you're doing. Because she asked you for help, obviously, for something.
Yeah.
So she wants something. She believes in something, right?
And even that's good. But even the question, what would you like to achieve from this? What would be your desired outcome? Like, what would you like to see happen? What's your choice here? What are you choosing to experience next? Like, why are you seeking this or coming to this? Because, let them tell you what it is that they want, because then it's like finding an in, and then you can kind of work from that point.
And it was so difficult because I tried to get to understand all of that, but she kept talking lower and lower where I could not hear her. And it made it very difficult because it was like, okay, can you speak louder? And she would start, well, I think that this is what I want. And I'm like, geez, I cannot continue. It's like, this is a little kid. It's almost like I'm asking a little kid to express herself so you can properly understand. But how can I not make her feel like I'm being like the mother figure, like, okay, speak out, tell me what are you saying, because I couldn't hear her. Many times it would be, and I was also thinking, what is spirit trying to tell me? Like, why
Mhm.
is it that I feel that I have to hear something? So
Yeah.
what if I don't need to hear it? What if
Mhm.
I just can go on and work with what I have presented? And I tried and I did what I did, and I started continuing with I just said, okay, this is what it is. I'm just going to, I don't know what happened at the end. I don't know if she got it or not, because it just ended the time. And I asked, is there anything else I can do for you? Oh, no, think that is what I do. And it's
Yeah.
like, okay.
It
So,
sounds to me like the energy of a little wounded child who's scared.
yeah. But
It's like, can you even
so
ask
I,
somebody? It's like, have you experienced trauma in your life? Because it's really interesting. You can see people of different ages, their maturity level, like they
it's,
might be in their 60s, but their maturity level is still of a teenager or
mhm.
still of a child. It's like they haven't quite gotten past that. I've seen that sometimes as well. But that's challenging when it's like sometimes you just have to ask them, not just how can I help you, but what is it that you would like to see happen? Because she knows inside that she needs help in some way because she's just diminishing her energy, her life force in a sense, and disconnected from it. So that's why it's really helpful, I think, for people to understand what exactly biofield clearing is. I had a guy email me a few days ago from Italy on my website, wanting to know if biofield clearing can be done in the name of Jesus because he's a Christian. And I said, sure, you definitely could, And I said, many times, we'll connect with your particular guide. Sometimes Jesus may come in, or Mother Mary, or Archangel Michael, and stuff like that. And, they can assist this healing process. And then we realign you with your highest divine self and stuff. And he emailed me back saying, oh, thank you for your quick reply. But I forget what he said, but he's like, I'm going to tell people to stay clear of this work because he thought it was kind of demonic. And I think he just wanted to challenge me or attack me on it, you know? So I was like, okay, fine. I said, that's too bad because I know I help a lot of people that are open to it. And he obviously had a very limited box of what his Christian beliefs were. And is it going to work within this particular box? So
You
it's
know
like,
what challenged me a lot of this girl also? When she said she's agnostic, to
mhm,
me, it means I don't believe in angels, in entities, in past lives, in guidelines, in angels, in anything, in energy, in because I asked her, so what is energy for you? I don't even know what that is. So it's like, okay, I believe that when you have an understanding or consciousness of something, that something it's present in your life. Like if I believe in guides, then I can communicate with the guides because that's part of my belief system. But if I don't, and I'm telling her, okay, let's connect with your guides. She's thinking, what guides? I don't have guides. Okay, let's ask the energy. What energy? There's no energy here. And I don't know why she asked for the healing because again, she was very difficult. But the thing is that all of everything that we're doing, all of this work is because it's set in a belief system that we all share. Like, and because we can't, well, it has been proven for us that it exists. But what happens with the world of all of those people that it is not part of their consciousness or belief system? How
mhm,
can we enter into that world with what we do in a way that they can understand it. So that would be what I was trying to find a way to, like a road where I can connect with you at your level of understanding, so we can work with something that makes sense to that person. And in this case, I could not find it because it was very alien for everything that
Yeah.
I was saying.
Yeah. Yeah. Usually one thing I tell people is, do you know, no one comes onto this planet alone. They all have a minimum of three angels, which are could be considered guides, but three angels, like guardian angels, but they don't do anything
Until
unless
you
you
ask.
ask. So if you don't think about it or don't believe in it, but once you realize, oh, okay, and some people have more. Now they're saying people have at least four, but we can also have many more, like ancestors that have passed on. So, Gabriella, what would you like to share there?
I would like to share because some information just only pop up straight away to me when the Claudia was saying the story about this lady, and that was for me, and I experienced no maybe a few times on the people, but also I experienced on my daughters as well, almost the same, I would like to say, symptoms in that way, when the people just only bringing their voices down, a little bit down, but then I'm looking at their eyes and I'm seeing a lot of entity. So they saw, like just only you mentioned, Jane, that was completely disconnected, that wasn't inside her body. And that's the feeling came to me, like when somebody will come to me like that, I'll be saying, oh my goodness, that's a lot of entity in her body. And that's why her soul was calling, just go in that place and just be healed by, for example, you, Claudia. So that energy, just an intuitive messages when you came to me. So when they're just speaking very slowly and just only, because the entity, when I went dive deep into that, and also I'm going to have a podcast with another lady this week, and we're going to talk about that low vibration energy. I'm using that word all the time. So they are just only giving that human like a bubbling, so you couldn't quite understand what they
That's exactly.
how they communicate with you. So that's like the messing around, but her soul really knows you're going to support her, you're going to help her. I don't care too much about what the people believe are. I'm just only saying, as long as you love yourself, as long as you love others, that's completely enough. If you believe in something, that could be a flower, that could be, I don't know, mug, or I don't know, tree, grass, it's okay, it's fine.
That's
So
true.
that the message came to me. So that was a lot of entity in her body, and she was like, oh.
The other thing that pops into my mind as you're saying that too is like sometimes we're trying to figure out in our heads, how can I help her? How do I get an inroad? How do we make this work? And sometimes it's really a matter of, that's why it's easier to not necessarily do it on Zoom, like by phone can be helpful, or if it's in person, but connecting with their particular angels or guides or higher self and say, how can I assist? What does this person need? And, I've had them show me sometimes this person, it's like their feet aren't touching the ground. They're not grounded. They're not connected. Or, the energy's closed here and it's closed at the bottom of the feet. And it's like the life force is diminishing because they're not having that energy flow. So sometimes it's just going to the rudimental basics, you know. Do you ever ground? Do you ever go outside and put your feet on the grass? Do you ever face the sun and just allow the sunlight on? But then again, if you've got the low vibrating energies, which it's very typical and very common, more so than you think. It's like that's really what you're dealing with a little bit, like they're not wanting to be seen, they're not wanting to be heard, they're not wanting to be outed, you know? So sometimes it's a matter of talking to this person's higher self, you know? And, not everybody is an excellent candidate for our particular work, but I usually just trust the process. If they're asking for it, there's a reason they're asking. So what's the reason that you're asking? What would you like to achieve? what do you think would help you? Or how can I help you? Or it's a challenge. Yeah. I had a guy that I was working with who was this marketing guru thing. And he wanted to do trades because he really liked my work. And I'm like, okay. And he's a little bit older, but his daughter was very depressed and suicidal. And he wanted me to do biofield clearing. So I said, okay, I did a session with her. She wasn't really, her father made her do it. And she wasn't really all that open to it. She was also very low energy, very depressed, and we did her session. And I encouraged her to come back. Let's do another session in like 2 weeks so that you have time to integrate this and we'll go further because she had a ways to go. And he kept pushing me to like email her or call her, she's not doing well. And I'm like, I emailed her a few times and to try to encourage her to say, look, are you ready to step into a little bit more? You know, I just never heard back from her. And I'm like, I'm not going to call her and talk her into it if she doesn't want it, because her father wanted her to do it. It's like, that's not what I do. And I'm not really, a psychiatrist or somebody that deals with somebody who's suicidal necessarily. Like I'm not trained for that kind of thing, like to help her not do that. I mean, yes, to a degree, if somebody's asking for it, that's one thing, but she really wasn't asking for it. She really was not interested in the work, you know. But that's a tough one. Anybody else have any thoughts about it when somebody's asking for it and yet they can't? I mean, I've had that with naturopathic clients too. They just have all these closed doors. That's like, how do I get in to help them shift something in their life? Oh, I can't change my diet. I can't do this. I can't do that. It's like, what can you do? What are you willing to do?
Yeah, I have somebody. So I've been working with this one woman that has had 4 miscarriages. She's like 36. She wants to, she keeps getting pregnant, but she keeps losing the baby within just a few weeks. And when we were working, I really like that question that you have about, are you ready to receive this? Because she's saying that that's what she wants. She wants to have a baby. But when we got into the work, we got to a spot and we were like, okay, here we go. And she's like, no, I don't want to go there. She told me.
Mm-hmm.
So I really think that that question, are you ready to receive this? Are you willing to let this
Mm-hmm.
go? Or are you ready
Yeah.
for this information? She was like, I don't want to go there. And I
Yeah.
was like, so one of the questions that I do that I've been doing for probably many years now is I always ask people, we're at this door, we're at this drawer, we're going to open the file, is this going to be gentle? That's what I always ask. It's kind of like similar to are you ready? Are they ready to receive? Is this going to be gentle? And I found out that it wasn't going to be gentle. She was right. She was not ready to do this because it was not going to be gentle. So we
Mm-hmm.
spent the majority of time figuring out, clearing how to make the process gentle before we even got to where we could even open the file of what she needed to do to
Mm-hmm.
hold these pregnancies. And then it was over. We were done. And I was like, well, you're going to have to come back on this one. So
Yeah.
yeah, so I would agree with you about that question. Are you ready to receive? Are you ready to receive this information? Are you willing?
Are you ready to receive even a shift in your
Mhm.
life, in your vibration, in your energy? Are you ready for things to change for the better?
Yeah, and
You know,
so I'm always like, how do we make this gentle? Let's make this
that's a
gentle.
great question too. How do we make this gentle?
Is
Yeah.
this going to be gentle? And I found out no. And I've gone forward and I've got myself into some deep trouble by doing that. So I know not to go past that step. And I will spend a very long time trying to make something gentle because when you're dealing with trauma or childhood issues, if it's not gentle, then you don't go forward because they're not going to be able to process whatever.
Yeah.
So yeah. Um,
So
yeah,
I
and so
had,
we ended up finding out that she says she's not deserving. She's not deserving of anything. She's not deserving
Yeah.
of having a child.
Yeah.
And yet here
Yeah.
she is wanting me to help her to she doesn't even believe that she's deserving. So
Right. And
yeah,
that's the key right there.
yeah.
You know, I had a lady kind of similar but different who was trying and trying and trying to get pregnant. She couldn't get pregnant. So she wanted to do biofield clearing, and we did. And come to find out, it was like she had experienced so much, you know, trauma as a child herself, and even in previous lives, that she was here to really heal that pattern. But she was so afraid to bring a child into this world because of that. She was afraid. I mean, when we unraveled it all, she didn't consciously realize it, but she was so afraid that that pattern would persist, you know? So once we cleared that, she got pregnant,
Oh,
you know? So, but, you know, there's something there at the core. There's something there, you know, even like Claudia, for your client there, that's such a tough one, you know, because it, I don't know, it's almost better to just do the clearing. I don't know if you know, if they're asking for it without their head and their beliefs and their filters getting in the way. But
I think like Claudia with that woman, you know, the fact that she was speaking so low, she was showing you her agnostic way. She was completely disconnected so that you couldn't even hear her.
Yeah.
She
But
her
was
I
life
agree,
force.
and I agree with what Gabriela said, is that maybe I don't know about entities, and it's not part of
Yeah.
my belief system,
Mhm.
but when Gabriela was talking about entities, and I could see that. I could see that maybe she was hiding behind the entity, you know, because it was funny, because I did ask, I don't remember the whole, because when I do the healings, I go to somewhere else. Well, I guess everybody does that. It's like you
Mhm.
get into this state of mind. But I remember at one point, oh yeah, at the beginning, so we're starting the first clearing, and I'm doing the first emotion that was shown, and I'm doing
Mhm.
the vortex,
Mhm.
and then the phone disconnects, and then I hear a recording of a man saying, "This is not allowed in this number." And I'm
Ooh.
like, what?
Oh.
And then she calls me back, and I said, "Do you have a restricted phone or something?" "No, I just got disconnected." And I'm like, oh, immediately there, I was like, oh, this is something bigger than us. So I said, I'm not going to do the biofield. You need to go root it. So I agree with, as someone said, I needed to root her. I start working on her feet, and I'm doing that rooting exercise to help her root. She starts feeling some tingling. So I'm like, okay, so there's something in there. At least she's starting to feel. And
Mhm.
then she starts munching on something with like crackers and stuff. And I'm like, it was so it's like she wanted, but at the same time she was sabotaging or
Right.
someone, the whole
Right.
place. And I'm in my mind, I'm saying it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what she does, because the healing goes on regardless. But of course, you're hearing that chom chom chom, and you're like,
Yeah.
you're supposed to be allowing the process and paying attention and not munching on something. So I continue. I don't know what else I did, because I went to
Yeah.
some, but at the end it was such a dissatisfaction with myself and
Yeah.
with when everything happened. But there was something in there. There was something there,
Yeah.
because that voice that finished the conversation and said, "This is not allowed." I never heard a recording that has
That's
that
funny.
message, like, "This is not allowed in this line," or something like that. And I'm like, what? What is
What?
it?
So when you were saying that, what popped into my mind is parallel planes. You know how like all time is actually now. And it's almost like a bleed over of different times when that person was maybe in trauma as a child. Like that's the impression I got, that she was a wounded child who was scared. Like that's why it's like afraid to speak up kind of thing. So that's the energy that was kind of coming up there.
And
But
you're right,
and
because the vortex was with trauma that happened at 6 year old, related with her mom. And that's what I was clearing. But you're right, it has to do with a child,
yeah, yeah.
I don't
And then the
know.
whole idea of, even the word entity, which can be triggering for some people, you could just call it an energy is showing up, and it could even be because I just got the message, look at parallel planes, because she's experiencing other planes in this particular timeline, like on 3D planet. It's almost like, like a different radio channel, but these other things are coming in of previous times, because I have had people that are healing some real trauma from previous lives or past lives, that kind of thing, and they can understand that. They might not have even thought about it to begin with, but then when you bring it up and it's like, oh, this is the emotion, this is the fear, this is the energy behind it, this is the negative and they're like, oh, absolutely, I've always been afraid of that, or that's always been something that's been on my mind, or that I've been concerned about, whatever. So it's like opening that door. But I always respect the fact and feel like we don't want to re-traumatize someone by giving them gory details about what happened. You don't need to do that. But you may tell them that, oh yeah, there was some trauma when you were, maybe at a previous time in a previous life, and I've had, you know, images of people being raped and pillaged, or brutally killed, or seeing their family members slaughtered, or just weird stuff. But it's like, okay, how do you tell them, like, yeah, there was some brutality that happened at that time that put you in a state of anxiety or panic or fear, whatever it is, trauma, so sometimes it can even be, let's just see if you have any trauma in your system that needs to be healed, because it's in your entire nervous system, you know so sometimes it's like asking their particular, how can I assist this person, show me what we can do here, maybe a good avenue in, you know because boy, that's a tough one. And also, Claudia, why did that come into your life? you
Exactly.
know it's like, why am I experiencing this, and maybe it's to prepare you for, working with some people, or who knows what it could be, you know, why that could be happening. But, we also attract certain people and experiences into our life. And sometimes you might find the people that you get for biofield clearing actually helps you, like, and I used to find this all the time, like even when was doing my iridology and naturopathic practice, is like in one week, I would see a lot of people's eyes that had the same patterns, the same dramas, the same health issues. And it would be like, oh, this is so interesting, you know? And then it would shift, it's like they'd come in groups or something like that. It's bizarre. You don't really know why these things are happening. But sometimes it's also like we're the healer, the teacher, and the student at the same time, So you're learning how to take this to another level. And we're all learning, sharing that. How do we help people if they're asking for it? And sometimes it's so fundamental. Like, first of all, we have to help her ground and maybe connect. What is it that you love? Is there anything in your life that you love? And I like what Cindy was saying too. It's like, how can we do this in a gentle way? You know, how can we assist you to just kind of, I mean, her heart was probably like closed down, like with steel doors around it, or a wall of concrete around it, kind of thing, fear, but totally not. Her life force was diminishing because she wasn't bringing it in and grounding it and having it fill her. So sometimes it's like, okay, what would make your heart happy? What would you like to experience in your life? You know, so that kind of session makes it a little bit challenging. So, any other thoughts or ideas around that, or even some of the questions? So, I want to continue to work with this. But I like hearing, you know, what's happening with you guys, or input and ideas, suggestions, you know, because we all have so much to offer. But I feel like there's a little piece there that has to do with the person's acceptance and responsibility to receive the healing. You know, because if you just do it for them and they're like, okay, good. And then they go home and they're like, I don't know if it did anything. You know, it's like, well, did you receive it? You know, and sometimes I find just about 100% of the time people feel so good when they're done. They really appreciate it. But then you either don't hear back from them, or when you do, it's like, well, like I have this one client that's had numerous sessions with me, probably 15 sessions for biofield clearing. And she still has the same story, the same drama. You know, she gets little shifts, but she feels comfort in the sessions and it helps her. And she'll continue to like do a 6-pack of sessions with me because she really likes it. You know, it's one of the few things that gives her comfort. You know, but she just has this belief that she can't change the situation she's in. She can't change her life. She's stuck with it. And nothing's really changing, you know, and she can't get out of it, you know. So it's like, well, it's so interesting because we've had wonderful insights come in for her, and yet she has to be willing to accept it, to receive it, you know, instead of like, well, yeah, that sounds good, you know, that would be a good thing if I could do that, but I don't know if I could do that, you know. So it's like, okay, it's a step process, you know. So you've got somebody at the very bottom of the ladder who's just wanting to know if it's safe. And I like what you said too. Do I deserve it? You know, they might feel such shame and guilt and pain. They might have done some horrendous things even themselves in a previous life that they're like, oh my God, it's just too overbearing to even consider. You know, like we can also be the victim and the perpetrator in many different avenues of life, you know, or different timelines. We've experienced it all. We've been the good guy, we've been the bad guy. You know, we've done good, we've done bad. You know, so how do you just say, you know? So one of the other things that comes up, and I've been hearing this too from other people, it's like, and I've said this for so many years too, it's like the bigger the drama or the challenge that somebody has, the bigger the gift when they can turn it around. So sometimes we have to ask them, well, how is this helping you? What did you learn from it? How is this making you stronger? How is this helping your soul? You know, how does this help you be a better person? Like to focus on what you gain from it as opposed to just the drama and being stuck in that particular story. You know, what are you getting out of it? How is this helping you? What is your soul learning? What is your heart learning? You know, because the interesting thing too that just popped in is that sometimes people are craving for somebody to ask them those questions, you know, to help open the box a little bit. You know, they want someone to help them see, what do I even ask myself? You know, do you think that's a possibility? Sometimes people are desperate. And this time that we're going through is can be extremely challenging. Not that it is, but it can be for a lot of people that do have that awareness kind of closed off. I used to see this all the time in my iridology practice when I would photograph the eyes. There's a particular sign that's called hypocerebral circulation, where you look at the full iris and the brain area is like all fuzzy and faded out. And that tells me it's a genetic influence that the seventh chakra is closed and you inherited this pattern which can lead to what doesn't have to, something like Alzheimer's, right? But that's not what the problem is. The problem is, and I would tell people, it's like sometimes, you've inherited this maybe from one of your grandparents. And it's like, they might have been a good person and they might have, gone to church and did good things in their life, but they couldn't feel a connection to a divine source, God, universe, you know. They they were just in this paradigm of they went through their life and they did what they were supposed to do, and that was about it. So the reason why you're bringing this into this lifetime is because you are choosing to heal that. And that's the most important thing. Those inherited patterns that we bring in are the most important things. You're bringing them into your life for a reason, for you to open up that connection to who you truly are, to your divine source, to your higher self, to this unlimited field, this unlimited potential. Because if you can do that, you can heal for yourself, and all future generations don't have to contain that pattern because it never got fully healed. Does that make sense? Do you know what I mean? The same thing with all kinds of physical issues. When we have diabetes in the family, when we have cancer in the families and stuff like that, it's like, okay, why are you bringing this experience in? To heal it. So it can be a challenge, but it's all perfect. There's no mistakes. I talked to my birth father who's about 89 now, and he's, diabetic and so much pain, he can't even get up anymore. And he's had, his back's in constant pain and his knees, and he's had, all kinds of stuff, surgeries and stuff. It's like, I've been pre-diabetic for probably about 15 years, and I always have to watch it. I have to watch what I eat, and I take care of it. I've had grandparents or even parents who both died of cancer, and it's like, yep, these are things I have to take care of within me. I know what my strengths are and I know what my weaknesses are. I know what I can do and I know what I can't do. And his wife said to me, well, you're a lot more disciplined. He's not going to just stop eating, sugar or baked goods or pasta and stuff like that, even though he's in so much pain constantly. And he probably wouldn't even consider the concept of the physical pain that he's embodying has to do with emotions, and energy, traumas. But it's their journey. You just have to support and honor them. Not everybody's ready at that level to just say, okay, because what we're going to do with biofield clearing, no matter what, like they just said, just trust the process. It's always working. It's like they will step up a few notches in their frequency when you've cleared a bunch of stuff and you've realigned them. And they have to integrate that. You can't just clear, 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 clear. It'll blow them out of the water too quickly, So you clear a few things and stuff. It's like, okay, you integrate. And once you've integrated that and you're ready to do more, let's do more because there's more you can do. But you have to maintain that higher vibration. And how do you do that? That's why I like to tell people afterwards, try to avoid, sugar, junk food, and alcohol for a few days while you integrate this new frequency, because those things will just bring you right back down. Take beautiful, excellent care of yourself, because you're integrating. And I just explained that you're going up to a little bit of a higher state, and life starts to change. It can become magical. It can become synergistic, serendipitous, like so many things can happen. That be on the lookout for those things. You might have more insights. You might feel something different in your heart. You might have a passion show up that you forgot about a long time ago. It could be anything. So, but we will attract what we need to attract in our life in order for us to front and center in our face, in order for us to pay attention. And I used to say, if you don't pay attention on a soul level or on a mental level, right, and an emotional level, it's going to slam you over the head on a physical level. So you say, okay, you haven't paid attention. Now, how do you unwind the whole thing and go back through not just the physical body, the emotional body, the mental body, the spiritual, the soul, to heal And what is healing on a soul level? Bringing up the virtues in our heart, right? Those higher vibrational frequencies, love, compassion, kindness, joy, a sense of peace, unity, oneness. You know, we have to develop some of these things. They're not just automatic sometimes for some people. So guiding them, even just those simple words, you know, can help them, may help them shift. Yeah. Any other thoughts? Those are some big issues. That's kind of neat to kind of, I like doing this, and I wish more people would join us to kind of discuss and share, because there's some wonderful healers in this group, you know. So, yeah.
I have something that happened to me the other day with a biofield, and again, it comes back to the whole thing about being ready. I would agree that the whole timing is pretty big deal. I was working with somebody. I think it was my son actually, and he had his three concerns at this particular time, but I had to stop where we were at. I was directed to stop where we were at. Um, I think we were on like one of the second things he was looking at, and we had to kind of go back, or maybe we're on the third one, or we had to jump. I don't know. I forgot. We had to stop where we were at anyway and go clear something else. Go to the second, or go to the third issue before
Mhm.
we could come back and finish with the third one, with the second one.
Yeah, they're
So
all connected.
yeah. So I mean, timing is pretty. It's important
Mhm.
where the person is.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I couldn't go forward. We had to go back, or yeah. So
And people will have different layers. Some have more than others. Some have done a lot of previous work, but you're never 100% there. It's like you never get to the end of the internet and say, I know everything. You know, it's like that's not how it works. You know, we have more, or we wouldn't still be here, you know. But many of us are here because we have chosen. Do you know what a bodhisattva means? A bodhisattva is an enlightened one that chooses to be incarnated on this planet to assist others. You know, that's really the definition of a bodhisattva. It's like we're here to assist humanity. There are many healers that just feel like it's their purpose. And very often it's because we've been healers in previous lives as well. Sometimes we've been condemned for it. Many times we have, you know, because it was considered, you know, witchcraft or whatever. Couldn't be possible. It was magic. It was voodoo, you know. But now it's like we're almost a little bit more free to present ourselves as healers, energy healers, shamans, whatever. But there are still some people that are not quite open to that. And that's okay. Like this guy that had the, and I've worked with Christian people before, but it's like he just couldn't accept it. Yeah. But I just thought it was pretty rude of him to say, I'm going to tell everyone to steer clear of this. But why? Are you God? I didn't say that, you know. It's like, leave it up to them. It's their choice, you know. So, so lots of things to kind of brew on or stew on or just kind of put through our heads here. So I thank you guys for sharing and your input, your ideas, your processes. Anyone else have anything they want to share or say? Or was it helpful to hear some of this? Yeah.
always.
Yeah. That's good. And I love hearing input from you guys too, because you all have a lot of value that you bring to the table as well. So I honor that. So I will let you go. I know it's getting late. I will send you what I was just reading from my guides, just so if you want to have that. And I'll just keep you updated on where this is going as far as I think there's another chart in the brewing here as far as what questions can we ask for them to receive it more fully, to ground it, you know. So, because there's something there that just feels like there's a little bit more. So, I've had a lot of focus on some other things, so I haven't put a whole lot of attention on it, but I know it's just stirring here, you know. All right, thank you, ladies. I honor you, the work you're doing, you know, your grace, your kindness, your healing, your energy that you bring to this planet is essential, you know, and we all lift each other up, you know, we hold each other in that space and that energy. And feel free, if you do have a challenge with a particular client or a situation, I mean, feel free to reach out, whether it's to me or others, or even as the entire group, you know, like how do we handle something that can be that you've come up against for the first time, you know? Like I had one of my students say to me, it was really interesting, because you know, we see like how many generations back that this goes. And she goes, I was getting that it just kept going and going and going, that it was like millions of years. How could that be possible? And I thought, I don't know. But then my guides told me that night, it was interesting that it was from a previous lifetime that was many light years away, you know? So it's like, oh, this might go back a billion years. And we have a hard time thinking of that concept because we're in 3D reality where our timeline is like linear, you know, but yet it's all actually now. So that's why I thought, oh, she's having some bleed through of some other either past lives or parallel planes where she's still in the middle of this, you know, woundedness, this, you know, and I've seen images of it come in, you know, from people and their guides. Like, I mean, it's horrendous when you hear about children that are being, you know, raped and abused and sacrificed for Satan, like all kinds of bizarre stuff. And that it's been going on for thousands of years. It's like, holy cow, that energy has to leave this planet, you know. But yet people have trauma that continues because it needs to be brought up and healed. It needs to be acknowledged, recognized. They need to find the strength of their spirit to say, yes, I am greater than that. I deserve a better life. I deserve to be respected, you know, to be loved, to be adored, you know. I think we're going to hear more of that in the future too. So a lot of trauma has really happened. So, and that was clear evidence of somebody who was quite wounded. And then there was this energy there that didn't want her to expose it, you know.
Mhm.
So bless yourself, keep yourself in a shield of golden light of protection. Do not take on somebody's dark energy, you know. Snap your fingers and put up your golden shield of light to reflect back gently to what they need to see for their own highest good. It's not for us to take on. We can have a lot of weaknesses in our energy field where things can hit us if we don't keep it solid for everybody, you know. So keep shining your light, keep grounding yourself, keep being connected to this infinite realm of divine love and compassion and energy with infinite possibilities, because that's what we're going toward, you know. So the interesting thing is, according to this one guy's work that was just blowing my mind, it's like we all start at like 12th dimensional beings and we come down the dimensions into like 3D and even second D, like some really limited dark stuff to learn from it so we can rise back up again. So you've already been higher dimensional being, you've been there before. But we come into the third dimension with this amnesia of forgetting who we really are. We have to relearn it. When you go into the fifth dimension, you don't have that amnesia anymore. You come in awake and aware and knowing all your past lives or what you've learned. You're experiencing a higher state of vibration. just kind of, it's an interesting concept, isn't it? Yeah, so keep learning, keep being aware, keep grounding, and especially now, stay hydrated and stay grounded because we are getting some solar flares, some CMEs, coronal mass ejections that are off the charts. The Schumann resonance is off the charts. And that light energy is bringing in frequencies and information to help us all shift and ascend to a higher vibration, to heal our DNA, to open up more possibilities. So it's really important to take care of ourselves because we can have that little roller coaster of, feeling up, feeling down, you know. So just be aware what you need at the time. All right. All right. I know it's late. Sending you guys love and light. All right. Thank you for joining us. Bye. Thank you so
Jane.
much.
Thank you so much. Thank
You're
you.
welcome.
Thank you.
All right. Take good
Thank you,
care.
everybody. It's good to see everyone.
Yep.
Thank you for sharing your experiences as well. I love hearing your stories.
Yeah, everybody's. Thank you.